Hello, eRank. Looks like we might possibly be live, and Starla's back. You're gonna have to tell us everything that's wrong with this broadcast, because we're literally trying to fix it as we go along. So, hi, Starla.
Hello. Yeah, I'm waiting for it to actually pop up live. Guys, let us know if I can see you just fine, Pam, over on the YouTube side. Um, Audio doesn't sound like it's choppy for them, so I might need you to repeat yourself on my end, but it seems to be working.
Oh, that's good news then. So whatever's up is up at Starla's end. But yeah, looks I see my big ugly face on YouTube, so that looks good. Um,
You're beautiful, Pam.
wow, and yeah, I actually.
Right now, though, where you're frozen, you are making a really silly face, for me at least, but I can see you on YouTube and you're moving, so.
Oh well, so we might have to do this like I ask a question and Starla answers it a minute and a half later with the YouTube lag.
Yeah. Starla, are you using your usual mic? I have not changed anything. Um, Nothing on my end. So,
Oh, is Starla sounding odd? I can quieten her down. It might be picking up on my side. I can quieten her down, and I have my mic so in my face. Um,
yeah. Feel free to let us know if anything is wonky. I'm just kind of playing with my volume to make sure that I can still hear you, Pam. So we did have a couple questions submitted on our Wednesday post in the eRank group. If you guys aren't in the eRank group yet, make sure that you click that link down below, because every Wednesday Pam makes a post and you guys can submit questions early so you can make sure that you get to cut in line. So we've got a couple over there, and then we'll get to questions over in the chat. I have been gone for the last 2 weeks. Um, I had a meeting with YouTube, 3 weeks ago, and then last week I was on vacation. So I'm back.
Yay!
Pam, did everything go good when I was away?
I don't think I broke anything terribly. We did okay, but we did miss you, definitely. I just
Oh,
told everyone you're on a super secret mission instead of. Well, I
we had
think
to.
the call with YouTube's a super secret mission anyway.
Yeah, it wasn't as cool as I thought it was going to be, unfortunately. But
uh,
I
yeah,
didn't.
I've
I
done a
didn't find out
couple of
anything
them,
super
and
fun.
I got some secrets in one, and the other one was boring as anything. But
I got some secrets, but they weren't anything that's super great. So,
ah,
all right, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and get to those questions that were submitted yesterday in the eRank group. But in the meantime, you guys are free to go ahead and put a couple in the chat. And then, Pam, did we have any news or announcements to share today? I haven't talked to Anthony.
I've not seen anything. We are working on the monthly update for everything that's been done in the past month, and that'll be out on Tuesday. But I don't know what I'm allowed to talk about today, to be honest.
That's okay. I think that we'll have more than enough questions to fill the time. The only other announcement to be aware of is that Etsy did announce that they're switching to square photos. I'm sure that you guys have seen it in all the groups already, but
There's
just
a
make.
question in the Facebook thing
Oh
all on
yeah,
that. Yep.
it's been everywhere. So just make sure that you're double checking what your photos look like, now that the dimensions have changed. Check on mobile, check on desktop. You might need to change things around. You might need to reshoot some photos, unfortunately, which really sucks. But you got a little bit of time before the holiday season to help you to get that stuff done before we get flooded with those holiday shoppers. So just be sure to get that done if you haven't already. All right, so over in the Facebook group, we have a question from Abigail. She said, I got an email from the chain store Michaels that said that they're branching into online sales of handmade products. They will compete with Etsy. They're offering very low fees to entice sellers too. Have you heard of this? How successful would it need, or would it need to become before eRank could help us with the info over there? So, yes, Michaels, for those of you in the US, Michaels craft stores are going to be creating their own online marketplace. And a couple of select people have been invited to participate in that. It's really cool. I think that that's really neat. Do I think that it would be able to compete with Etsy? Etsy's a worldwide global marketplace. Michael's is a US store. I don't think that it's ever going to be as big as Etsy, but it's something else to look into. It's another opportunity. It's another place that you could expand into, if you want to, expand out your marketing radius, or you want to, not keep all of your eggs in one basket. If you've been invited, check it out. Sure, we don't know what the future of it holds, but it might be worth looking into. How successful would it need to become before eRank could help us with it? Well, the marketplace would need to have a good customer base. And that's going to be all on Michaels to be able to reel in those customers. So it just depends on how much they advertise, how much brand awareness they create for this project. Because ultimately there has to be data that exists in order for us to give you that data. And if the data is so minuscule that nobody's going to get any value out of it, then it's not something that we're going to be able to provide data on, just like a lot of these smaller marketplaces that pop up. So with that being said, it's something that we'll keep an eye on, but it's probably going to be a while before a marketplace like this gets off the ground. It's not like Threads, where Instagram already had the massive audience, and then they were able to just allow everybody to move over to Threads. It's not quite as easy as that. This is a brand new marketplace that's coming out of nowhere, where Michael's existing customer base, not only do they need to not just be individual crafters who are doing things for fun, they have to look within that audience of everybody that they have that, is on their email list, and then target the little business owners within their email list. And another thing that kind of sticks out to me is that if you're a business, you're not, hopefully you're not buying all of your supplies at a place like Michael's. Hopefully you have a supplier, and you're not just relying on what's sitting on a store shelf. Because if you're a big business that's actually getting volume for sales, there's not going to be enough inventory in that store. And not to mention, you're not going to get the prices that you need in order to maintain a business and be able to, offer the best prices for your products. They're pricing for people who are using their products for personal use. So I can see it working, I can see it going well, but it's probably going to take a little bit of time. Absolutely keep an eye on it, though.
Yeah, I
If you
had a
have, you don't
quick
even have
look when I saw the
Michaels there.
question, and it sounds cool. But I also remember on eRank we've got the sites compare feature, so I pulled up Michael's compared to Etsy, and Michael's, before it even starts doing this handmade thing, is like a fraction of the size of Etsy just now for its onlineness. I think they're probably quite big stores, but for its online, it's very small. So its crafter sellers thing's going to be a fraction of a fraction. And kind of, I hope it does well, but as Starla says, you kind of it's a weird one. I think it could probably be very cool, but it's going to be very much like the very beginning of Etsy, where it's crafters selling to crafters, which is a totally different thing. And to be fair, like Amazon has had Amazon Handmade for how long, and that's not even chipped at the Etsy market. So it's tough. I do want some kind of competition for Etsy, some kind of good competition, but it's not going to happen overnight.
Absolutely. And I mean, you guys can test this for yourself. Go into the sites tool over at eRank. Pop Michaels into the sites tool. Pop any marketplace. Go Imagine, Zazzle, Society 6, Redbubble. Pop any of those websites into the compare sites tool along with Etsy, and compare for yourself what they look like. Because what you'll almost always find, unless it's a big site like, Amazon.com or eBay or Walmart, for example, Etsy is going to be at the top of all of those handmade marketplaces because it's the biggest. So, and it has the most traffic. It has the highest global ranking. Um, so yeah, test it out. Maybe you'll make a couple sales. Maybe you'll do really well on it. Maybe it's a learning experience. But yeah, just, don't expect it to make you $1 million overnight, because it's probably going to take a while for it to get off the ground.
Yeah.
Let's see. Siri had asked if we could talk a bit about the new square photos. I mean, I think that we kind of already talked about it as much as there is to say. Photos are going to be squares. um,
Yeah, I've got. I've got the page pulled up actually.
Oh, okay. That's gonna.
Which I also linked it in the Facebook group yesterday. Um, so the first thing is this is going to be starting in early August, so nobody expect to see anything right now. They do say no immediate action is required. However, you may want to start taking and uploading images with this format in mind. Um, so they're saying we'll be displaying your photos with a square shop in your shop home soon. Um, as best practice, we recommend uploading photos that work for multiple crop ratios like square or rectangle because listing photos may be used across multiple pages. So don't freak out and think that all your photos have to now be shot as square. They just have to look good in a square crop as well as
Yes.
everything else. And you can, in the listing manager, if you go in to edit your photos, they have options to show kind of the crop in different formats so you can see if your listing looks good. If your actual listing is going to be sitting in the middle of the image when it's cropped to the different sizes.
Yeah.
And I know a few people were asking the recommended sizes. So they're saying JPEG, GIF, or PNG. Recommended size is 2000 pixels for the shortest size, a resolution of 72 ppi, and keep it under 1 meg for faster uploading. That's like 2007 asked for their resolutions back there, didn't it? But
Yeah.
anyway, that's what Itzy's saying. So don't freak out. More of what we should be doing when you're taking your main picture, don't be looking at zooming it in right so close. Leave a little bit of dead space around it so it can be cropped to the different dimensions, basically.
Yeah, you can reposition them right from your shop manager as long as you don't have something that, even in the rectangle, it's already blown up. A couple of you said that you haven't noticed square photos yet, but go into your mobile app. I've got one up, random ring that was up there. This is a perfect square photo. So this will give you a good idea of what those photos are going to look like now. Be sure to look at them in both mobile and desktop. I agree. I've not noticed any change on desktop as of yet. But most Etsy shoppers, or over 50% of Etsy shoppers, are on mobile. So you do want to make sure that you're catering to those as well.
Yeah, they
Um,
said early August for the change, so it's not
yeah,
changed, but they are testing it, so some people will have seen it.
yeah. All right. Let's see. One more question, or two, I guess, over three from Andrea. She said, I feel like I've had an uptick in sales and I would love to better understand where it's coming from. Can eRank give recent stats within the past 14 days, example, as to where traffic is coming from, social media platform, Etsy search? We already do that. You have to set up Google Analytics.
Yep, the traffic stats tool. So on your homepage on eRank, there should be a traffic stats section. If you haven't already connected up, there'll be a button to connect up. Anthony did a live video a couple of weeks ago. It's worth checking that to make sure you set everything up correctly. If you haven't migrated over to GA4, which is the new Google Analytics that Etsy only just started supporting, and then the team at eRank ran around like headless chickens and managed to get eRank connected to Google Analytics 4 through, so everything's working that way. So on your dashboard, you'll either see a button saying to connect up, or if you connected up with the old Google Universal Analytics, there'll be a little button to say to switch to Google GA4. And it should be pretty easy. Just follow the steps there, give Google the permissions, and you'll be able to see traffic stats, and then just click on that and look in, pick the dates and everything. I actually found it really cool. Right, I say all the time that you shouldn't be looking at your stats minute by minute, day by day. But yeah, last year I had a massive uptick in views on one day, and I was immediately like onto eRank going, what is this? And eRank straight away showed me the keyword that was bringing the views, and I was like, oh, great, much faster than than Etsy did. So yeah, I don't recommend doing it. It doesn't do anything good, but it kind of feels nice to see where stuff's come from.
Yeah. And Andrea, it looks like she has it set up because her follow up question said on eRank under traffic stats once connected to Google Analytics, then traffic sources. Is everyone's number one source Etsy?
Um, I don't know what my number one source is. It probably is. I don't think everyone it will be, but that's people searching for you on Etsy, I suppose, which is probably because that's the marketplace and many people are getting views from search. There will be some shops that have very defined niches that get lots of views coming from Google because they're really good for that. For a time, my number one source was Pinterest. That stopped being the case a couple of years ago, but yeah, so everyone's shop will be slightly different.
Yeah. And she had also said, what did the different references to the same platform mean? Such as I see com.pinterest, Pinterest, and Pinterest.com. Um, I have a speculation, but Pam, do you by chance know?
Some of them, I don't know 100% with those ones, but you'll see some different countries have different URLs, so they might be coming from different countries. Some mobile apps, some websites have more than one URL that all directs to the same place. It looks the same, but it might show up differently on Google. Not entirely an expert. You could always ask Google Analytics support. They do have it. It's worth asking them if you're not sure on things.
Yeah, and I was also thinking for Pinterest specifically, the way that some people are able to add, Pinterest widgets onto their like blog sites and things, and where, there's a pin button directly on there. Pinterest is one of those platforms where you can kind of connect pins to a lot of other platforms. So that could be the reason. You know, maybe you're floating around somewhere off of Pinterest, but it's technically connected to Pinterest. So therefore, people are technically discovering you through Pinterest, but through other means. There's probably a logical explanation that neither Pam and I are aware of. So yeah, I definitely think that reaching out to Google Analytics support would be your best bet for a solid answer. And if you do, let us know because we would love to know.
Yeah, we're just guessing from what I've seen, but yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to head over to YouTube chat now. Thanks for everybody who submitted questions early. Let's see. Above us, only sky. Let's see. Any news on the policy clarification by Etsy related to what is and isn't allowed on Etsy? Pam referenced this last week. I've got that link as well.
Yeah, sadly, I said the policies were being updated. Well, in fact, Starla told me the policies were being updated like three
July
days ago.
24th. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and I looked at we hoped it might have some more clarifications, but to be honest, I've sat and had the old policy and the new policy side by side and scrolled through them, and the only wording seems to have changed is they're making it clearer that you're saying if you agree to these policies, you're not going to sue Etsy. That literally seemed to be the only things that I could see. So sadly, no, it didn't seem to clarify much.
Yeah. I tried to post the link in the chat, but I still can't post links for some reason. But it's etsy.com/legal/IP. Super easy. Etsy.com/legal/IP. Um, but again, I was going to make a video on it, and then I read through it, and it said that the policies go into effect July 24th, and I couldn't find anything different. So it wasn't even worth a video.
Yeah, there's nothing substantially changed. I literally had to scroll down word for word and like, nope. It's just the wording. I think they had a little lawyer look over it and change the wording slightly. That's all I could see. It's a shame. We really hoped they were going to make some clarifications to some of the things that people are confused about, but sadly, no.
Yeah. All right, Jackie had asked, how difficult is it to reteach the Etsy algorithm what you want to be known for? My partners made me a bit paranoid, asking if I'd be better off starting again from scratch. There's no reason to start from scratch, especially if your shop already has a bit of history because you've got that overall customer and marketplace experience score, that's like your sum total of all the good you've done on Etsy if you've made sales and had reviews in the past. It's funny, I'm working on a new Etsy shop with Michelle Badger. She's a Handmade Alpha Academy student, and we're building a bookish, like book talk themed shop, and we're getting official licensing from big authors. It's been really fun, and I'm excited to be able to teach about that. But one of the things that we noticed while we were doing research into some of our bookish competitors is we were trying to identify, like, what did they start with. And all of the big competitors in this industry, I told Michelle, I said, go and click on the last page of their reviews. Don't look at the reviews they're getting now. Let's look at their last page of reviews. And all of them started out selling something completely different than what they eventually became successful in. Most of them had very generic products. And you could see the moment that they started niching and narrowing down and finding success in the niche of, bookish themed products. So, with that in mind, it's possible, and I think that most sellers go through it at some point or another, where they start out selling a little bit of everything. There are a lot of sellers who know exactly what they want to sell right when they start, and they do all the research, and they build their brand, and they get their branding in place, and they build a target customer profile, and they know exactly what they're doing when they start. But that's not the majority. The majority hear about this cool thing called Etsy, and they make a couple crafts and they throw them up there, and then they start learning about things like branding and SEO, and they realize, like, oh, this is a lot more. That's why I'm not making sales. There's more to this than I thought. So it's absolutely possible. I would not start from scratch. How long does it take Etsy's algorithm to recognize what you want to be known for? Well, it's all about the cues that you're sending to Etsy. It's not something that's going to happen all at once. There's not going to be a shift where if you're selling baby products and then you switch to men's beard oil, you've still got a lot of metadata on the back end coming from past reviews and things like that. Um, that I'm sure that Etsy probably takes into account when it comes to what they're trying to identify, your shop is about. But it all boils down to keyword consistency, appealing to customers, making sure that you're getting good reviews for those products, building authority, getting those high listing quality scores by making repeat sales of products. And it's not that you're never going to be known for those things. Even if you launch something new, you could launch something new that's completely unrelated to your existing niche, and a bunch of people take interest in it right away. And that listing could be your best seller out of a bunch of listings that are totally unrelated to that. I've seen that as well. Um, there's no real answer to your question, but I wouldn't start over if you've had a successful shop in the past. Not only that, but Etsy has been known to close down new shops that are opening because they're kind of, I don't know, they're being weird right now. I would work on the existing shop.
Yeah, I think, right, Etsy has said that it looks at how other listings have done for the similar keywords when you put up a new listing. That's not just your own listings, by the way. They do say they're looking at how other similar listings across Etsy have done. So there has, I think it's in two places Etsy have mentioned almost an authority on keywords. That's entirely twice. But I don't believe it is mentioned at all anywhere in the Ultimate Guide to Etsy search. So it's a factor, but it's sort of a factor within the listing quality score, your shop score or something. But it's part of a factor. It's not the whole thing. As Starla says, I've seen shops that do great things, that have had the they started out for something and they changed to something else. It's not a huge deal. Now, if you had a very, very popular shop that was getting hundreds of sales, let's, for example, in 2020, some shops dived in and got hundreds and hundreds of sales for masks. Now, they have a good authority for masks, but nobody's buying masks just now. They will still have a good quality score with Etsy entirely if they've served their customers well, they've had lots of sales, they've got lots of good reviews. That's all still really good metrics, but they will see a drop in search if they move to posters or something. So they don't have any kind of authority on the term posters, but their shop is still better than a brand new shop. But it's going to feel slow for them because they're used to having big sales. Also, return customers and things, you're going to lose all of that because people aren't coming back for masks anyway. But if it was something they were coming back for and suddenly they see posters, they'll be like, oh, that's not for me. I'm out of here. So you would lose that kind of thing. And any of your social media and stuff is a bit kind of pointless because people followed you because they liked masks.
Yeah, Jackie says
But
that she started selling, that she was selling jewelry, and she's still selling jewelry, just a different style of jewelry, but it's still jewelry.
yeah, that's probably, yeah. The Etsy will still know you as a jewelry shop. Your followers will still be your followers. I mean, it really depends how big sales you were having in the past and how many repeat customers and things. But I don't think the algorithm's gonna hate you for anything. You're
Yeah,
pro-
yeah.
your shop's probably still in better standing than a brand new shop.
And not only that, but we as people, we can see context and differences in jewelry, but if you're categorizing things as jewelry and Etsy knows that you've sold jewelry, Etsy isn't looking at your photos and looking at styles, as much as they're seeing just jewelry. Jackie is known for jewelry. Jackie's still selling jewelry, no different than.
Oh, Starla disappeared. Hopefully she'll be back in a minute. But I think her this has been a great stream already.
That you're no longer a jewelry shop. You've just decided to experiment with a different type of jewelry in the mix. But ultimately, you're still telling Etsy, I sell jewelry. I want to be known for jewelry. Here's some more jewelry. I don't think that it's too drastic of a change, as opposed to if you switch from jewelry to t-shirts, for example. That might be a little bit different. Um,
Yeah, we
well, while
lost you
we're waiting
for
for
like,
Pam, I'm just seeing a black screen right now. Let me go ahead
yeah,
and I'll
we
refresh my
lost
page
you.
just to see what you guys are seeing. Poor
Uh,
Pam. Pam,
okay.
are you?
Hello.
Wave your hand if you hear me. I can't see
Oh,
any Pam at
this is
all.
great technology. I'm
But then
trying
I
to see.
see her on the chat or on the oh,
Oh boy.
I don't know
Right.
what's going on. I
Okay.
think
It
that
looks
I think
like
that I think that Pam is visible.
I think we can both see.
Oh
I
no.
think you guys can still see both of us.
Pam,
Let us
I'm
know
gonna
in the
bounce.
chat.
Well, I don't want to bounce out and end up killing the chat. Okay.
um.
You're here. I'm gonna close out mine and try again.
Oh, that we had all this problem just before um we came live. Oh, don't play around with things like that. We had this problem before we became live, and we just literally got everything sorted with a minute to spare before coming on. And yeah, it seems bonkers. What I might have to do. Stella's back briefly, but fell into a black scare. Yeah, Stella went away for a minute. Hopefully she'll be back. I might see. Yeah, most you're saying you could see both of us. Stella's just vanished again. Ah. Um, I'm waiting for her to come back in. I might try. Hang on, I might try a thing. That this has been a fun stream. All right, 2 seconds. I will send Starla a new link, and hopefully we'll get her back. I just said she was back, and then she's not back. Right. Anyway, let's see if we've got any more questions while we wait for a Starla. Oh, we might have a Starla. Do we have a Starla? Have we got a Starla? I can see you, Starla. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes.
Oh, yay! For just now, it's working. Oh, I hate technology very much.
It's been a messy day.
Well, do you know, it helps with the interaction on YouTube where everyone's going, where's Starla gone? Starla's back, Starla's away. So
The
we're getting
comments
lots
are
of chat.
helpful, guys.
Yeah, sorry about this, guys. This is technology for you.
All right. Are we good to move on to the next question, or did
Let's move on to the next question.
I can't
Yeah.
even remember what we were talking about? All right. Let's see. Um, I'm just starting with making t-shirts for students or printables for kids. Is it too late in the season to start making things for the first week of school? Also, is it better to start with print on demand instead of printables because print on demand can be sold on more platforms like Amazon? Okay, so first of all, creating things for the first week of school, printables can be printed at any time. However, I mean, I used to be a teacher, I used to be a preschool teacher. Curriculums are not built on the first week of school. I mean, you could totally get those things listed. You might get some bites, especially from homeschooling parents, for example. Curriculums aren't built the week before school starts. I know that for my kiddo's school, she'll be starting on August 15th, um, which is probably about the time when, mid August is when most kids start school, early August. So it is running a little late. But you could list those if that's what your niche is going to be. List them and leave them up, leave them for next year. Just I wouldn't expect to make a million sales. I would start thinking of Halloween printables for kids and Christmas and Thanksgiving printables for kids, or maybe packets that teachers can print and give to their students to take home over fall break, over winter break. These are things that, maybe to keep their minds working while they're taking their break. These are things that could be, beneficial, or holiday parties where they want close to the holidays to give the kids something fun to work on that's holiday themed. I would start thinking more about that. Go ahead and get those things listed. Printables, you never know. Maybe there's a teacher out there who totally forgot to get their button gear right before school started, and it could be a life-saving product for them. But for shirts, that's a little harder. Those shirts are more going to be parents buying those, not teachers. So, and parents like to do photo shoots with their kids on the first day of school. I would just make sure that when you're choosing your print provider for those with print on demand, that you're being conscious of how long the shipping times are and not picking, shipping providers that are going to take too long. And you had said, is it better to start with print on demand instead of printables because print on demand can be sold on more than one platform? I mean, that's completely up to you. There's no real answer to that. It's just that's a personal preference.
Yeah, and you can do print on demand and printables, or all. If you have the designs, you can sell them as print on demand on Amazon or whatever. But I'm gonna kind of be a little bit harsh and just ask, why are you looking to start this? Because it sounds, I could be very wrong. You might like be a teacher or have kids or like be really, this be your thing. But it sounds like I want to do t-shirts or printables or template or this or that, So you haven't even nailed down a niche and then just going, oh, it's back to school week, I'll do this kind of thing. So it might be an idea to really spend a bit of time figuring out what you want your niche to be. Um, as Starla says, it's not too late for back to school, but it is kind of late. Because all your competition has already made their sales, have started making sales for this kind of back to school thing. So you do want to be thinking ahead. So you're unlikely to get big sales for the back to school thing. So I wouldn't spend much time thinking about that just now and say, what is the things you're thinking about if you're doing these kind of tent pole times? Like, think, what can you do for Halloween? What can you do for Christmas? What are you going to do for Easter, Mother's Day? I know it's horrible to be thinking of these things, but you've got to be that far in front.
Yeah, and then they said, is it better to do downloadables or shirts in general? That's completely up to you. There's no better. There's no better product over another product. You've got to be the one to do the research and decide what industry, based on your capabilities, your target audience, the people you're trying to appeal to in the seasons when they're buying. You need to make that decision for you. There is no better. There's demand for all of those things. You
Yeah,
just
and
have to decide.
this is a big argument about niche as well. Like, I know shops that have very successfully do printables and print on demand and all the things because they have a niche. Like, some of the cool sticker shops or something, they might sell stickers and mugs and designs and digital downloads, because their niche is actually kawaii cats or something. You know, their niche isn't print on demand. And their niche is like what you're saying is your niche isn't going to be necessarily t-shirts for students. Your niche is it things to help students? You know, it's your target market is probably the parents of students. So, what kind of things are they buying rather than saying, I've just got to make t shirts? Or, that's, that's the thing that loads of people make a sort of mistake with. There's no right or wrong. If you have, I don't know, a printable template for their, their homework or something, it doesn't matter if it's a digital download or print on demand or whatever else. Like people who are looking for it are similar people. It's just whether they want it to print themselves or to buy ready made. Kind of, it's the
Yeah.
same people.
And keep in mind that it's not the kids either. That's another thing when it comes to kids, where people will brand and do everything to cater to kids. And I'm like, kids don't have credit cards. It's not the kids who are buying, it's the parents and the teachers. So I would decide on if you're going to sell to parents or teachers. Keeping homeschool parents, in mind, there are parents who are the teachers. And we've got lots of comments. Our school is year round, so they started July 21st. Somebody said New York City school starts in September. So, and I said that my daughter starts mid-August, so it's going to vary drastically, but it is boiling down. Christine had asked if we could repeat the pixel measurements for Etsy. It's a 1-to-1 ratio, so squares is kind of what they're moving towards. I mean, they tend to resize your photos, but typically for square images, 2000 by 2000 pixels is a safe bet for anything. Etsy's going to resize them, but to make sure that it's maximum resolution so that your pictures aren't blurry once they're uploaded, 2000 by 2000 is a perfectly fine measurement, and it's easy to remember.
Yeah, and that's Etsy are saying 2,000 pixels for the shortest side. If so,
Yeah.
if you have a shortest side, resolution of 72 ppi, and keep it under 1 meg, which is hilarious. I don't remember the last time I took a 1 meg photo.
Yeah, right. Let's see. And then Christine also asked, do you know of any tutorials for starting Google Analytics for the very first time with the new Google Analytics 4? Is it possible to delete an account and start all over?
Um, your best tutorial just now is what Anthony did a couple of weeks ago in the live on this YouTube channel. Um, Basically, we're all scrambling around in the dark, and he knows Google Analytics better than all of us. But it is new for all of us because literally absolutely nobody had a heads up that Etsy was going to do this. So it flipped over. On one day, we all discovered it, and we're all digging in and going, "What's that button do? What's that button do?" Basically. So no, and there's no need to delete an account and start all over again. You haven't broke Google Analytics 4 or anything. Um, if you had the old Universal Analytics, Google walk you through changing it to Google Analytics 4, and then you connected it with your Etsy shop. But yeah, you absolutely have no, you've not broken Google Analytics 4.
Yeah, yeah. And from what I have seen, it's way easier to make a switch than it is to start over and set up a brand new account from scratch.
Yep. But
Yeah.
yeah, for anyone who hasn't changed, in fact, look, for everyone who has changed over, because I changed over and I thought I'd done all the steps, and then I sat with Anthony in the live and he talked through things. I was like, I haven't checked that. I haven't checked that. So there's a couple of really important points. The first is making sure that you put in the right code so it's actually tracking keywords. I didn't think I had to do this because I thought it was already done from my old Universal Analytics, but for some reason they saved it wrong. So I had to go and change that. And you have to go in and make sure that it's tracking 14 months of data. It defaults for some people to 2 months of data. But all of that is in the live that Anthony did about 2.5 weeks ago, just before Starla went on holiday,
Yeah.
basically.
Anna, I did find your question just now, so thank you for pointing that out. I think it was when I disappeared. And Justin, unfortunately, I can't post links in the chat. I don't know why. I'm an admin of the chat, but it won't let me post links. But it is, if you go back on the eRank channel and you click on the live tab, like go to our channel page by clicking eRank, down below, it'll pull up our channel. There are a bunch of tabs, uploads, yada yada. Click the one that says live, and on that page, it's been what, maybe 6 weeks, 5 weeks?
Not even that. Yeah, it's pretty recently. Hmm.
Yeah, I can even tell you what the name of the video you want to look for is if you want to search for it by hand. It would be eRank Live GA4 with Anthony Wolf. So super easy to find. You could probably search GA4 Anthony Wolf in
Yeah.
YouTube and it'll pop right up. All right, let's see. And Anna had asked previously when I disappeared. I only have seasonal stuff up. All seasons passed for now. Will this have a similar effect to going on vacation mode? I think that it completely depends. Like, for example, right now people are already searching for Christmas stuff and it's July. So, um, vacation mode is different because vacation mode, your products are not available and they're not going to receive any interaction at all. It's impossible to receive interaction when your shop is on vacation mode. And that kind of puts your shop almost into like this stasis where you're not losing your listing quality scores. They're not completely disappearing, but it's almost like when you come back from vacation mode, you got to like shake Etsy and say, "Hey, I'm back." You got to bring some activity into your shop so that Etsy knows to start, showing you to more people again. And sometimes it can take a toll on your search ranking, but it is recoverable. For things that are seasonal that are not applicable to the season, I'm sure that there are a couple people searching for those types of products year round, but it's never going to be the same as, for example, searches for Christmas in February are not going to be anywhere near the same as searches for Christmas products in November, for example. Um, so I would recommend, if you are a shop that sells a lot of seasonal products, it's okay to leave those products that are for other holidays or seasons in your shop. But I would always be thinking about what the next upcoming seasons are and making sure that you're well stocked on those products as well, especially if you primarily cater to like seasonal industries.
Yeah. And the other thing there, like, I don't know, imagine one of your items is a Mother's Day item. So not many people are searching for Mother's Day right now. Some are because people are weird. But your Mother's Day items are only competing against other Mother's Day items. So if nobody's searching for them, you're not getting views and sales, but your competition's also not getting views and sales. So that listing isn't getting hurt at all for not, well, yeah, it's not really getting hurt at all for being behind in the things. There's just nobody searching for it. So you have as good, like the Etsy algorithm can say, your shop is as good as it ever was compared to everybody else for Mother's Day type things. Hopefully you have some other things. Very much if you have that kind of seasonality, definitely should have some Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas type things, and they're going to start being searched for. So hopefully your shop should be actually still getting some kind of views and maybe starting to get some kind of sales. But the stuff that are out of season, it's not gonna hurt or help you. They're just there. They're just like cost you 20 cents every 4 months. They're no big deal.
All right. The produce aisle. I love your little strawberry. Um, I had a listing lifted by a weird Russian site. I saw that in my group, found it by fluke. I wonder if eRank has tools for sweeping for our Etsy brand name across various marketplaces for any possible infringements. There's no real way to do that. The internet is a big, wide, vast place. And any instance of keywords that you've used, I mean, if it was a keyword sweep, it would pull every instance of that combination of words anywhere in the world. So unless you had a very unique name, that would be really difficult. What you're kind of describing is more of a reverse image search, which already exists. You can do that right from Google by clicking the camera icon. If you are trying to find infringements, that's what I would do, is just reverse image search some of your product images, and then you can easily identify them. The problem is if you are trying to go after countries that do not that do not really pay attention to the laws of your country, which, you know, US, UK, any EU countries, the main issue there is that countries like China, Russia, their copyright laws are virtually inexistent. That's why we see so much counterfeit, you know, fake Nikes and things coming out of places like China. And the ability to do anything about it, speaking as from experience, because I'm going through that right now with a Vietnamese platform that I am actively fighting against. We have reached out to the FBI. We have reached out to literally every single hosting system that their website consists of. We've reached out to their PayPal payment gateways. We've there is no way to really go after someone in a different country because there are no laws there that are going to comply with your needs. What you can do is, if it is a website that is using something like WordPress, like PayPal for their payment gateway, you know, yada yada, and you know that they're stealing from other people, you can reach out to the individual platforms to kind of take their website down piece by piece. I'm currently doing that. The website that stole from me, we've gotten their PayPal disabled. So they can no longer accept PayPal payments. We've reached out to WordPress. They haven't been as easy to work with, but you can kind of pull up some of the metadata for their website by clicking the F12 key on your keyboard and just kind of looking through and seeing if you identify any of the you know, the widgets and things that make up their platform, and you can reach out to them one by one. It's a long process, it's a slow process, it's a pain in the butt, um, and it might not even work. That's the unfortunate thing. If you want to go through all that, you totally can. It just depends on how in depth you want to get it, but as somebody who's going through that right now, I can tell you it's a headache.
Yeah. Sadly, that's the problem, is different laws in different countries. It's really tough.
Yeah.
I see it all the time in the art that I'm into. There are some amazing needle felters, and their stuff is stolen all the time.
And then they
Um,
get a nightmare product in the mail when people order it.
Yep. And the thing that's worse, there's this most wonderful woman who makes this beautiful stuff, and she constantly, this happens, and then people find her and email her having a go at her for the terrible products. Like, you didn't order off me. I'm really sorry, but what did you expect for a fiver when my items are like thousands of pounds? But yeah, it's so tough. Yeah, I the the world needs to get better ways for us to deal with all of this.
Yeah. Um, Sometimes your best bet is to just understand that people who steal won't get very far, and that if they're ripping off your product and then selling something that is subpar in comparison, you are still winning because you're the one who is providing the real product. People who copy are never going to be that successful. They're never going to get that successful, and they cannot actually 100% produce what it is that you're producing. With digital designs, it's a little bit different, and that's where things get frustrating and where my frustrations are coming with what we're working to, you know, the site that we're working to take down. Um, Digital assets are a lot harder to protect. Um, but at the same time, you know, sometimes it's worth it to make an example of them, and, you know, even go on your social media accounts and say, look, this is my real product. Here's a knockoff. Everybody go report this Facebook page. And, you know, sometimes if you've got followers or people who are willing to help, and you get enough, you know, good souls out there who want to help you, sometimes it does work. I've seen Facebook pages who have knockoff products that have stolen from artists get shut down because enough people report them. So you could always try a little bit of a rally cry among your own audience and see if they'd be willing to help. or within the craft communities, there's a lot of different Etsy groups and craft communities that are willing to help with things like that. But good luck with it. I hope that you're able to get it resolved. I know how frustrating it is because I'm going through it right now, and I've been seeing this exact same thing happen for as long as I've been selling on Etsy. I mean, it's an ongoing problem.
Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing with Facebook. We've gotten loads taken down. And with their Facebook ads, whoever I know they've copied, I just go on and paste a link to the real item. And these people are
Yeah.
not even checking the comments in their ads or anything. They don't take it down. You get everyone to upvote your comment, and everyone sees the first thing they click on is like, oh wow, is that too good to be true? Yep, here's the original artist.
Yeah, we've all seen those art dolls where
Mm-hmm.
people post it and they're like, "This is a real baby marble fox," and everybody in the comments is like, "Oh, it's so adorable, I want one." And in reality, it's an art doll created by an Etsy seller, and everybody thinks it's a real animal. And they're some people just don't know, they just they don't
Yeah.
realize. But you've got to be the one in the comments saying, actually.
Yep.
But like Pam said, if enough people like your comment, if you say, "This is fake, this isn't real, this is a scam, here's the real artist who creates these products by hand, if you want to support them," if enough people like that comment, like Pam said, it'll go to the top of the comments list. That way, anybody who clicks on comments and reads, on these posts on Facebook, they will see that comment first. And I see it happen all the time. There's Wish was really bad about it, and now it's Timu or whatever. They have already stolen from so many Etsy artists. It's very frustrating.
Yep.
But anyway, all right, we are down to like our last 5-ish minutes, and we are out of questions. Pam, is there anything that we want to bring up to fill up this gap, or?
Yeah, things we should be filling in. Well, guys, we don't shout out the blog often enough, so make sure and check out what it might be linked in the comments of this video. So make sure and check out the eRank blog if you haven't been there in a while. We actually have a really cool team doing tons of helpful articles. There's loads going on. I'm surprised every time I remember and click. There's more in there, so that is really worth checking out. And let us know what you find helpful, what you want to hear more of, and then this because the team are always looking for your feedback too. Um,
Absolutely. We just had Michelle, who I was talking about, that I'm working on the Etsy shop with. She just joined the team over at eRank to help with the blog as well. She's the one who edited my science fiction book. So I told Anthony, I'm like, "Oh, she would be a really, really cool person to have on the team." And she was excited about it. So we should have even more blogs soon.
yep,
So that's
been
going to be
having a
really nice.
nosy at the up and coming blog list, and there's some cool stuff. So keep an eye on it.
Oh, and yes, Jesse, I did see your comment earlier. I didn't realize it was a question. Why are they doing this new thing for descriptions? Basically, descriptions for some people, not it's not happening for me, but for some people, descriptions are showing under reviews on the left side rather on the right side. It's probably not something that everybody has, because I don't. And it's likely just a test that Etsy's running, because they run lots of tests over the holiday or before the holiday season to see what sticks. Photos being one of those things that they tested for a couple months and then it ended up sticking. This is one that probably won't stick. So,
Yeah, if you're seeing it, I'm seeing it, and I hate it. Um, because basically it just makes it harder and harder for buyers to find your descriptions, and we already know very few of them read the description anyway. So drop Etsy a message, a chat, but let them know that you very much dislike it and why you dislike it,
yeah.
and hopefully it'll go away.
All right. Jessica slid in at the very last minute with one more question. She said, "I sell preemie hats, and many people don't know they need one until the baby comes unexpectedly." That's very true. "Should I wait until certain holidays are closer before posting my items? Otherwise, they usually sit for a few months with not much interaction because no one needs them just yet." I would post them now. I would go ahead and post them. I understand your logic there. Um, but there are a lot of, you know, there are a lot of things that someone might want those preemie hats for. Photographers, for example, who use them for photo props, they're going to want that stuff ahead of time. I know that my mom, I was the only baby she was able to have, and then she went through this baby fever where she collected those weird, like, super realistic baby dolls, but she dressed them up for every holiday, and she had little preemie dolls, and she dressed those up for every holiday, and she was searching for things like preemie hats. And I know that that's weird, but it's like, I know that she's not the only person who did that. I've known a lot of people in my life who do things like that. So I think that I think that you should go ahead and just get those listed. Don't wait until right before the holiday.
Yeah, if you mean like preemie hats for Christmas and stuff like that, then yeah, I get that's a different one. I was going like in general, preemie hats are like you need them when you need them. Um, so yeah, it is going to be a kind of last minute thing for the holidays and stuff, obviously, because people don't know that a baby's going to be premature. That's sort of a bit of a surprise, but yeah, get them listed. Start for dolls. Not just adults, but I remember my sister had her baby doll, life-sized baby doll that she took everywhere with her for a couple of years. So yeah, they'll want things in ahead of time, and it doesn't hurt if they sit for a couple of months with not that much interaction. They're still getting some interaction. They're still in the right place. You can get an idea of what the competition's like if you're ranking for certain keywords and stuff. Yeah, get them listed, but closer to time, work on your social media, getting, show the pictures, show them looking really adorable, get some excitement about them.
I took a screenshot of the chat. The Right now, Miss Luna Vega is talking about eRank from Italy. She's telling her audience how she made almost $1 million using eRank. I don't even know who that is, but that's really awesome. I sent that to Anthony. I sent your screenshot. These are the type of sellers that we would love to connect with. These are the type of sellers we would love to come in and do blog posts, or, even hang out during a Q&A session or something. I'm sure that there's lots of things. So, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, if anybody knows this person personally, feel free to tell them to reach out to us.
absolutely. Yeah, we love hearing things like that. That'll totally make Anthony's day. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out. Thanks for being patient with our little bumps and bruises that come with going live. That's how you know it's real. It's how you know it's really live, not you know pre-recorded or anything, clearly. But thanks so much for hanging out. Make sure that you join the eRank group link down below. Every Wednesday, Pam puts a post in there that's pinned to the top of the group wall where you can submit your question early if you want to cut in the line. Sometimes we don't have questions, throughout the entire chat, but sometimes our chat is completely full of questions and it takes a while to be able to answer them all. And if you want those questions answered quickly, you can submit those early. But guys, thanks so much for hanging out, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Bye bye.